From President of the country to one of South Africa's newest recording artists, former President Jacob Zuma never fails to surprise. Zuma will be making a struggle song album and will be financed by the eThekwini Department of Culture. Now, for more on this story, we're joined in studio now by Thembinkosi Ngcobo. He's the chairperson of the Gospel Music Association of South Africa. Thanks very much, Thembinkosi, for coming into studio. Yep. I think before we get our conversation going, let's perhaps start off with this soundbite we had. The eThekwini Department of Parks, Recreation and Culture's Thembinkosi Ngcobo in studio just yesterday. And we asked him whether there were no other alternatives, no other artists who were eligible to produce an album of this nature. This is what he had to say.
Are you telling me you could not find any other artists, any other choir that could get together and perform these songs from the anti-apartheid struggle with the necessary gusto and conviction, and the only person you could find is former President Jacob Zuma, who's, by the way, not even a resident of eThekwini?
That is exactly what I'm saying, actually, because we have started doing this project over the last 3 years. And we have tried so many artists in our city. They can sing quite well, but they can't be in character. And we then realized that maybe the reason why they can't be in character is because they were not necessarily part of the struggles that were waged at the time. But then we noticed that Jacob Zuma, you can tell us if there's anyone that you will know who can sing better when it comes to the liberation songs. More especially what we liked is the songs that he was singing that were not known even by people who are of my age. Because apparently, as I was saying, there is a context that we didn't know that Jacob Zuma was part of it. There are so many songs that you wanted from him.
All right, let's bring the discussion back into studio now. Thembinkosi Ngcobo, as I mentioned earlier, is the chairperson of the Gospel Music Association of South Africa. Thembinkosi, what do you make of that kind of assessment of the reason behind the former president being chosen?
Actually, that's what caught my attention when I listened to that interview yesterday. As I was watching and I heard that Jacob Zuma was chosen because artists cannot be in character. Hello, I think that's bullcrap because artists are artists. Artists know how to be in character. I'll give you an example. An actor, an actress, you give them a script about Mama Winnie's life and they will go into that life, they will study the script, they will get the mood, they will get the mood of the time, and they will make sure that the work, people can feel what actually took place in those days. So I think the man is misleading the nation there.
So in your opinion, there are a number of other artists that could have done an album like this.
A lot of them. And notwithstanding, by the way, that the political climate right now does not allow for a face of Jacob Zuma to be at the forefront of anything, especially against the backdrop of the state capture report. So it's very, what can I say, irresponsible in the first instance, even for them. Because I heard him in the interview saying they approached him. Mm-hmm. It's very irresponsible of them to do so, number one. Number two, it was also very irresponsible of the former president to even respond within 7 minutes and say, I'm in. I mean, number one, you're compromising the organization that you led. I mean, we are in serious problems because of what is happening in terms of the state capture report. And what we are hearing is shocking. And now you want to be a face of something against the backdrop of so many artists in this country who can do the job. In fact, he shouldn't have been part of it. If any way, then he should be in the background. But whether he's getting paid 1 cent or half a cent is neither here nor there. This is not about the money. This is about the fact that the heritage of this country does not belong to an individual. It belongs to the nation. It belongs to an organization. So I think it's misleading of them to say that he's the best man for the job. And for a former state president to be funded for an album, I mean, he can get money from other sources. If he wanted to do an album, then let him do it.
Do you know what the reaction has been from other artists? I mean, you're talking on behalf of your association, but other artists who perhaps see themselves as being capable of doing something like that?
I guess they should be mad. And if they are not, then there's something wrong with them in 2019. Because I think it's about time that artists start to speak out against such ills, especially things that are being done in their name. I mean, I think the artists in eThekwini, artists in KwaZulu-Natal, artists in the whole country should stand up. And really ask the questions and get the breakdown of that budget, what's going where. But this is a national heritage project. There's nothing wrong with the idea, but the approach is totally wrong.
Well, as a national heritage project, perhaps it would be best to get someone who is apolitical.
Yeah,
in some way.
Of course. Sometimes you will not be able to divorce the politics from that heritage because of, for instance, part of my interest when I saw this story is that we've even met with Luthuli House, with the current TG. Paul Mashatile, on the kind of the same concept. But our idea is to actually have a look at struggle icons, those guys who don't have houses today, the guys who were in the gutters, the guys who were there, who sang these songs, who are forgotten. So we're looking at actually creating a platform for them on an annual basis so that they can participate. But this is a huge project, and to spend so much money on one, I heard them say, well, we're not spending the money on Jacob Zuma, but this is either here or not there. The fact of the matter is that the face of Jacob Zuma is there, and already you have compromised the beautiful project of heritage. I think this music, don't get me wrong, has to be preserved. It's important that we preserve this because of young people don't know this music. And how can you get this to young people and educate them about the heritage when you don't involve them?
Well, it seems the project is going ahead. That's according to...
It needs to be stopped.
That's my next question to you. Do you go ahead and do something to stop it?
Yes. Well, my responsibility as an activist and as an artist is to mobilize. And I'm not mobilizing against Jacob Zuma.
Yeah.
So people will talk the nonsense out there. It's not about an individual. I've been on record calling 702 day in and day out defending ANC under Zuma because I was talking about the ANC. So right now we must always look at the organization, not the individual. So right now I think artists should stand up, should do everything in their power, should ask the right questions. What is the total breakdown? And this is public money, so we need to know what is happening. And artists out there, I'm sending a message to you to say, do not be scared. This is your art history. This is your country. You have every right to ask a question. Heritage is for all of us. It's not about an individual.
Well, thanks very much for coming into studio. Teboho Sitatu, pardon me, is the chairperson of the Gospel Music Association of South Africa. That says former President Jacob Zuma is set to become a recording artist.